Well, hello there. You have got to stop fiddling with the buttons on your device because all it did was get you back to Mr. E's Mysteries and Magics. Welcome. As long as you're here, please sit back and enjoy the video. This video will be the explanation for some of the subtleties involved in my routine of the three hearts. Now, most of it you're probably going to know already because some of it is very obvious, and I did 2 videos already explaining some of the techniques that I used. So let's get into it and get through this stuff as quickly as we can. First of all, if you did not know that I was using a Svengali deck, as I think I mentioned in the demo video, you have been doing magic for less than 5 minutes. Very standard stuff, the Svengali deck. I've been using them for decades. They've been around for decades and decades. Anyway, this Svengali deck, as you know, has a key card of the 3 of hearts. All right, so as you also know, the key card is every odd position. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, all are 3 of hearts and all the way down through the deck that way. Now, the first thing is, to your first spectator, you say, give me a number from 1 to 52. I like to say, don't make the number too large because I'm really old and I'd like to finish this before I die. Gets a few laughs. And I use the number 4 as an example. And I used an even number for a specific reason because the key card is in the 5th position. So for those of you who don't know how you do that, it's basically a magician's choice situation. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you hand them the next card, which of course is the 5th card. Just to be clear on this, if they said the number was 5, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And guess what? You'd be handing them the very same card. So if they give you an even number, you simply put that number of cards aside and show them the next card. That's all there is to it. And I know most of you are already familiar with that. But let me show you one other thing about a Svengali deck that I like to use. It's a little tip, a little bit of a subtlety here. For this particular effect, I think it's much more effective if you have them put the card back where they found it. Now, you could very easily have them put the card on the top of the pile on the table, put that pile back on the deck, and you're ready to go. But I prefer to hand them the card, let them look at it. Again, you tell them, don't show it to anybody. This is your secret card, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Have them put it back where they got it from. Now, here's the problem. If you grab everything up like this, you're going to end up with 2 key cards in a row. And that's just going to mess you up because you won't have one on the top of the deck. So that's going to mess you up. So how do I handle that? Well, very easily. Let's start all over again, and I'll show you. Watch how I put these cards down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of sloppy, right? But you'll notice I have one card side jogged. That's the first card I put down. That's a key card. So being sloppy, you can just take these cards and then it gives you an excuse to be sloppy and put them together like, 2 times, right? Pick up this one separately, put it on the top, and there you go. Now, before you move on to your next participant, you do at least 2 shuffles. I'm only going to do 1 to save time. Okay, and you do a cut, and it doesn't have to be a false cut. You can cut a Svengali deck easily enough, and everybody knows that, and your key card will still be on top. So make sure that you always shuffle at least twice in between each participant because you want to give them the impression that you're moving the cards around in the deck. So now we get to the second participant, and that is the riffle shuffle. All right, so we have the riffle shuffle. This is straightforward. You do the riffle shuffle, you hand them the card, it's going to be the key card, you have them put it back, bingo, bingo, you're all set to move on to your 2 or 3 shuffles and cut the cards, and on you go. Now, you noticed when I did the first participant, and I did that side jog thing, I do the same thing now with the third person when we do the magic grid. And I'm not going to explain how the magic grid works because I already did a video on that, but I am going to show you how I use it in this effect. I show 3 grids, all right, like this. And fun in the sun with the dog. And you'll notice that what I'm doing here is I'm only showing the first column, the top with the name, and the first column, because you want that column to have 3 different numbers. Each of these grids have different numbers in that first column. That's all you want to show them, because if you show them everything else, they're going to realize that all 3 of these grids have exactly the same numbers. They're just in different places. But you can show them the first grid, or the first column on each grid, and that will leave them with the impression and the illusion that they're different grids and that they are really making a random choice. Again, I'm not going to get into how this works. Check out the video, which will be below. I will, however, I will put the 3 different variations of the grid in the description box below if you want to create your own, so you don't have to figure out where the numbers will go. You can just use my description box. All right, now, again, just one other point is that you can use any 3-letter word you want up on top of the grids. And I will say this, and I'm going to try to be a little delicate about it because I know young people sometimes find their way to this particular channel. When you're doing this effect in a bar full of drunken 20-somethings, there is indeed one 3-letter word that if you put it on the grid, I guarantee you they will pick it. I cannot think of a time when they didn't. It may have happened once or twice. If it did, I can't remember. But I'm not going to say the word because I think you can probably guess what that word is. But I will give you a hint. Just between you and me, I'm going to whisper this, okay? It rhymes with the phrase T-Rex. Okay? All right. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. So you do that. You count out the 19 cards, and you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and I can hand them the 19th card. And they can look at it. Just like I said earlier, it's an odd number card. You go right to that number. You give them that card to look at. They can put it right back. And you notice that I, again, out-jogged that first card. I can just sloppily pick up the rest of them, throw that on the top. And again, I'm once more ready to move on to the next part of the effect. So you go through that. They all pick their card. It's all the 3 of hearts. And at this point, you're going to say, on my count of 3, call out whatever card you chose, right? So 1, 2, 3, they all yell 3 of hearts. You flip over the top 3 of hearts. You can do it right away. You can do it a fraction of a second afterward. And there you go. 2 reveals in one at basically the same time. Now, at this point, we go into the second part of the routine, which is that whole thing about, having them look at the cards and testing their powers of observation. There are several points about this that you probably should be aware of. And the first one is when you've got the card and you hand it to them to examine, you say, I'm going to have you look at this card, examine it carefully on both sides. Okay, and I'm going to ask you a question, testing your powers of observation. Look at it carefully. Hand it to the middle person. Don't hand it to person 1 or 3. Hand it to the person in the middle. This is important because this is your point of misdirection. The person in the middle is equidistant between the other 2 people, and the natural tendency for number 1 and number 3 is to look over the shoulder at number 2 while number 2 is going like this to the card and maybe later handing it back and forth. But while the middle person is looking at the card and the other 2 people are looking over their shoulder at the card as well, this is when you take your gaff card or your other colored card from wherever you have it hidden and slide it onto the deck and give it a wrist kill. That's your misdirection. You may have noticed in the video I did something like this. You can't really do misdirection on a camera, so I did something like this to simulate the misdirection. And, you may have seen my hand moving around behind the card and so on, but that's what I was doing, all right? Creating a false misdirection to give you the effect of the routine. So after you've done that, they're looking at the card. You've got the gaff card in your wrist kill position. And then when they're ready, they hand the card back to you. And you say to them, all right, I'm going to ask you the question, but first, I don't want you to all be yelling the same or a different answer at me. Let's not create some chaos. Before you answer, put your heads together, and among the 3 of you, come up with one single answer. Okay, there's a reason for me to say that. And it's not because of chaos. I could care less about the chaos. The reason I ask them to do that is because that gives them, or gives you rather, the time to take the card while they're discussing it and doing the Enderlin Exchange and getting ready for the next part of the, see that next part of the trick. I showed that purposely, right? I wouldn't flash that when I'm doing the effect, but I flashed it purposely so you could see it honest. I did that on purpose, I swear. So this whole thing about think about your answer before you give it is one of my favorite techniques. I call it verbal misdirection. In the vernacular, that's what you call a lie. I think there's something in the Bible about thou shalt not commit verbal misdirection. I forget which commandment it is, but I love to use that. It means you're telling people to do something for a particular reason, but that's not the real reason you're telling them to do that. It's a nefarious and secret reason that only you know about. Verbal misdirection. So they're coming up with their answer. You're taking the card back. You're putting it in here, and you're just calmly doing the Enderlin Exchange, just, squaring off the deck. And if you mess it up, you can use that moment or two to just kind of cover yourself. It's no big deal. And again, as soon as you do it, again, I flashed that so you could see what I was doing, again, on purpose. But, once you've done it, what you do is slip it immediately into a risk kill position and keep it that way until they give you their answer. Now, their answer is going to be crazy. I expected when I first came up with this that people would always say blue. Well, they say dark blue. They say blue. They say blue with white borders. They say blue with lines in it. They say all kinds of elaborate things so that they can be exactly right because they don't know what answer you're looking for. Obviously, whatever they came up with, they're wrong because the answer is gold. All right? The answer is gold. And that's when you can take this off the top of the deck and say to them, see that? That is your card. But it's okay because I will always remember you as the 3 queens of my heart. Yeah, hokey and corny, and you would not believe the laughs it get. And while people are laughing, you can actually sit there and do a double lift with the deck, the Svengali deck. You have to do it carefully because the easiest way to do it is top and bottom. Okay, not side to side like you normally would like this. But because of the way the cards are cut, top and bottom is the best way to do it. And you want to keep a finger in the middle to bend them a little bit. And you don't say anything. All right, you don't say a word. You just do the double lift and show it and put it back. Again, just a convincer, a quiet convincer to prove to them that their card has indeed been changed into a gold back 3 of hearts with this Queen of Hearts thing printed on it. And that's the entire effect. That's how you do the 3 of Hearts routine. I hope that's clear. I do have to say a couple of other things before I wrap up, and please bear with me. One is you don't need this particular gaff card to do 99% of the routine. You can do this with any color card that you have. It can be a red card, red, whatever your key card is, say, 9 of clubs or whatever. That if that's the key card for your Svengali deck and you have a red 9 of clubs, you can use that. You just can't do the stupid corny joke at the end. That's all. And so it's really not something that you have to have a 3 of hearts to do. Although I call it that because I do have the 3 of hearts, and it's kind of odd how this all came about, and it's all due to, believe it or not, my good friends at RP Magic Shop. I walked in there a while back and said, Rich, I need a new Svengali deck. He said, no problem. He took a couple off the shelf. One was, in fact, the 2 of hearts, as I showed earlier, and one was the 3 of hearts. He pushed the 2 of hearts to me, and I said to myself, no, I don't want that. I want I want something that's not at the end of the lines or of the suits and numbers and whatnot. I have a Svengali deck that's an ace of spades that's at the top end. I don't want the other end. I want something in the middle, and the closest, of course, was the 3 of hearts. So I said, no, I'll take the one with the 3 of hearts instead. So, okay. I got that. A couple of weeks later, maybe a month, I went back and I said, Rich, I really like these gold cards. I think they'd look really cool in color changes. So I bought a deck of those, brought it home, and pulled this out and saw this. And then I said to myself, I said, self, look at what we have here. 3 of hearts all over the place. This has the potential to be a really cool magic effect. And I said back to myself, self, you are right. That is correct. We can do something really cool with all this stuff. So self, you get to work. So that's what I did. I came up with this. And again, all just because of a lucky chance switch at the last second in deciding which Svengali deck I wanted while I was buying them at RP Magic Shop, which I would really appreciate if you would check out their website below. Again, they have all kinds of free stuff you can download, and their newsletter has all kinds of specials that you can take advantage of as well. So that's it, the 3 of Hearts routine. Hope you liked it. If you've got any questions, let me know. And I really hope that you try this out sometime, because it's a great routine with several different reveals in it, and every single one of those reveals always leaves them baffled.